Competition Bureau of Canada. I've been going kind of hard at them. What the hell have you guys been doing? Competition Bureau is an independent law enforcement agency. So right off the bat, if you are independent, why are you housed on the Government of Canada's website? Like, it doesn't seem very independent to me. It seems very, very enmeshed. I don't see independence here. Maybe I'm just not seeing the true independence, but I'd love to be proven wrong. Always. If you have more information, post it. I am exploring things that no one else seems to be exploring or asking about or questioning. So I'm just trying to start a dialogue and conversation. And it seems like some people don't want this conversation to happen. So I think that means we need to keep going. Anyway, Competition Bureau protects and promotes competition for the benefit of Canadian consumers and businesses. And they acknowledge that competition drives lower prices and innovation while fueling economic growth. So I did 5 parts on the Competition Act, and, Competition Bureau is in place to enforce the Competition Act. In 2022, there were some amendments made to the Competition Act. I thought that go through what is relevant. On the Government of Canada website, they talk about the changes to the Competition Act. I find this a really interesting way to describe it. So they're acknowledging that the government has made amendments to the Competition Act as a preliminary phase in modernizing the Canada's competition regime. So that "the" doesn't need to be there. Modernizing Canada's competition regime. Regime is an odd choice of words here, but okay. The amendments fix certain loopholes in the law, tackle business practices that are harmful to workers and consumers, increase penalties, and adapt the law to today's digital reality. One of the amendments to the Competition Act that happened in 2022 is increased fines and penalties. These are the penalties that come down on organizations that are found to be breaking the Competition Act. And the following changes was made so that for criminal agreements between competitors to fix prices, restrict supply, or allocate markets, the 25 million limit on fines is removed, and fine amounts will be at the discretion of the court. So this provision doesn't come into effect until June 23rd, 2023. So there is no limit now. If you're found guilty, you can pay whatever they deem necessary, and that is excellent. So I think we all need to be gathering evidence, but nothing should come down until June 23rd, 2023. That's an interesting date. So another amendment to the Competition Act in 2022 is that they fixed loopholes in the merger review notification requirements. So the commissioner of the Competition Bureau needs to review mergers of organizations. I think it would probably be more appropriate to call these acquisitions rather than mergers. Mergers kind of imply more of like we are both now in charge, whereas acquisitions are one company buying another company, which is what has happened, right? We've had pretty unchecked acquisitions, it feels. But the Competition Bureau is responsible for reviewing mergers to determine whether or not one company purchasing another company is going to affect competition in the market. What they're saying here is that if there's a merger, you have to notify. I think there are loopholes to get away from it, so somehow people cannot notify, but all mergers need to be reviewed. The question is and remains, how has this law not been followed? The damage is done. Stop them from buying up more stuff. Like, the damage is done. The Competition Bureau has the authority to review any merger to determine whether it is likely to result in a substantial lessening or prevention of competition in Canada. When a big conglomerate wants to buy up an independent grocery store and say, hey, you're one of us now, Competition Bureau is responsible for determining whether or not that purchase is going to lessen competition. I mean, it's alleged and, I don't want to get sued or anything, but like, it's pretty obvious that this has not been happening effectively. Because there are towns that have every single store owned by Loblaws, for example. Yes, there's Empire that owns other chains, but like we have to look at like regional areas too, and certain areas don't have a ton of choice to begin with. There's say 2 grocery stores and then Loblaws buys up the only other grocery store in that town, then they've eliminated the competition. And even if they don't have a monopoly everywhere, they might have a monopoly in that town, and those people don't have choice. This can also be illustrated by the vast discrepancies in prices of goods from one little town to another. So I didn't take much from this because the font was small, but here are the enforcement guidelines for the Competition Bureau of Canada, again with the Canada logo in the bottom, totally independent agency, right? Point 2.9, so lessening of competition. A merger may substantially lessen competition when it enables the merged firm unilaterally or in coordination with other firms to sustain materially higher prices than would exist in the absence of the merger by diminishing existing competition. This typically occurs with horizontal mergers when there is direct or existing overlap between the operations of the merging firms. This can also occur with non-horizontal mergers, such as those that foreclose rivals from accessing inputs to production. Okay, so how then, Competition Bureau, did you let this happen? Loblaws own everything. Competition Bureau is an independent law enforcement agency. I am questioning the independence as well as the enforcement. Both. They are the watchdog of competition, and they will not hesitate to take action when business is not carried out in ways that are truthful, fair, and legal. Unless, of course, it's Gale and Weston for some reason. The Competition Bureau works to protect and promote competition by ensuring truth in advertising, investigating illegal agreements that hinder competition, and preventing abuse of market power. That's a big one. Reviewing mergers. Another big one. Advocating for competitive and fair marketplaces. And then they work with a variety of Canadian and international organizations. Here are the benefits of competition. So a healthy competitive economy increases productivity and benefits us all with lower prices and more choice. Fully acknowledging the less competition you have, the more prices go up. Prices have been going up completely unchecked because why? There's not enough competition. Competition provides consumers with competitive prices, product choices, and the information they need to make informed purchasing decisions. It also gives small and medium-sized businesses a better chance to compete and participate in the economy. Where have all the small businesses gone? Like, for real? Because I'm talking to a lot of small business owners and they're not doing very well. When competition is unhealthy, dishonest, or illegal, the effects can be devastating for Canadian consumers and businesses. At the Competition Bureau, we help ensure that Canadian consumers and businesses enjoy the advantages of a competitive and innovative marketplace. In doing my dive here, a lot of mention of the Commissioner of Competition, who's like the head of the Bureau. And from what I've seen, they are appointed on 5-year terms. And this newest one, Matthew Boswell, is new. I'm reserving judgment. Matthew, hope you're a good dude. Maybe we should chat sometime because I think there's some work that needs to be done within the little organization that you became a part of here. I'm just going to sit on your shoulder here, Matthew. Hope you don't mind. He was appointed March 5th, 2019 for a 5-year term. So this made me think, what's the history of this role? Who's been in this post before Matthew? Because he's on cleanup duty at this point, in my opinion. This is the mandate letter that was on the Competition Bureau website welcoming Mr. Boswell into the organization and, congratulating you on your appointment, talking about how important the role is now at this critical point in Canada's history where it's an increasingly data-driven economy, unlocking critical innovations, and how the government of Canada is committed to making Canada a world-leading country for innovation. Talking about how we need to make a healthy environment, especially for our small and medium-sized enterprises to thrive and innovate in Canada. As data and its uses increasingly become the means by which companies seek to establish a competitive advantage, we must review how to continue to manage the risks and ill effects of data abuse and the potentially emerging data monopolies. Who could that be? I like this. We must also reflect upon the potential for market distortions and for unforeseen disruptions where abuses of market power can occur in the collection, processing, and use of data. Shoppers Optimum, anyone? When you got your Shoppers Optimum card, did you consent to Loblaws selling that information through their new marketing company and using your personal transaction data to help companies sell to you? No, probably not. I don't remember that. Should the whole program be null and void? Should we do a series on that? I'm cutting out my optimum card personally. You can go read it if you'd like, but my department has maintained a symbiotic, productive relationship with the Competition Bureau, being completely independent, over the years, and I have no doubt that this will continue throughout your term as our officials consider these and other pressing matters. And this is signed the Honourable Navdeep Bains, who is MP. My next question was, when was Loblaws allowed to buy Shoppers Drug Mart? July 2013, because I was looking up the commissioner of the Competition Bureau that introduced us to Matthew, who has only been in the post for a short period of time. So we need to go back into history a bit because, you know, anything that went down didn't go down under him. July 2013. Okay, so we got to go back a few commissioners. It was actually really difficult to find information on past commissioners. I guess it's not like a hot news topic, whatever. But I couldn't even get into this Westlaw thing. It's behind a paywall. But from this little blurb here, they talk about how Melanie Aiken stepped down. So I'm like, ooh, red flag, red flag. And then up here, it says John Peckman, former commissioner of competition in 2018. So I think it went Melanie Aiken, then John Peckman up to 2018, and then Matthew. Melanie Aiken stepped down, and I did some reading on Melanie Aiken. She seems great. She was appointed for a 5-year term, and she left after 3 years. She unexpectedly quit. So Melanie raised the Competition Bureau's profile considerably in her 3 years as commissioner. She went after real estate and credit card industries and just said there's nothing left for her to accomplish in the role. Melanie was considered to be one of the most aggressive commissioners in the Competition Bureau's history, and there are several high-profile cases she initiated that have yet to be resolved. Take it from someone who quit a job without a backup job. You don't do that for no reason. Melanie says she doesn't have another job waiting for her and that she was not fired from her position. She is a lawyer. She's not going to have trouble getting a job, but her time with the Competition Bureau was up. And the fact that probably one of the biggest potential mergers that they would have been looking at this time when she left was the Shoppers Drug Mart acquisition by Loblaws. And this is allegedly my opinion, completely conjecture. I would not be surprised if that had something to do with it. We found that previous commissioner unexpectedly quit in 2012, about halfway through her 5-year appointment. Took on the role in 2019, made a name for herself as a watchdog with a penchant for choosing large targets. New powers at the time were that the office could issue fines up to $25 million for anti-competitive behavior and the ability to delay mergers. But new in 2022, this fine of up to $25 million has been done away with, and they can fine whatever they deem fit. So I say we find that Loblaws should not have been allowed to make this huge big merger, and all the extra profits they have should go back to the people that they've been gouging. Maybe just an idea. Melanie was able to do some work in the real estate area. I'm not really sure about this multi-listing service thing, but her other targets have included credit card companies, airlines, landfill operators, gas cartels, and cell phone providers. So she was looking at the monopoly in the cell phones. But she just unexpectedly quit. I can't imagine why. Melanie probably has a lot to say, but she's a lawyer. She's probably not going to go blabbing on TikTok. But I'd love to chat with you, Melanie. Hit me up if you'd like. Nothing in here except talking about how Melanie is very, very ethical. Was a great commissioner, really went for hard-hitting issues. And as per usual, as a woman, especially doing stuff like that in this kind of environment, I'm sure it was not easy for her. After Melanie left, it surprised everyone in the industry, it seems, and it'll be interesting whether the next appointment is from within government or outside government. After Melanie left, the Competition Bureau did what most organizations do after a fiery new voice comes in and tries to disrupt things. They hired a interim commissioner named John Peckman. See below that John has spent his entire career, it looks like 39 years with the Competition Bureau of Canada, so they just threw John in there. No offense, John, I'm sure you're nice and everything, but come on, 39 years. We had enough of fresh ideas, right? So it still says you need to update your LinkedIn, John. You are not still presently this role. We're deep. We're looking at the history of the commissioners in the role, their 5-year appointments. after Melanie Aitken unexpectedly left right around the time that Loblaws was acquiring Shoppers Drug Mart, the Competition Bureau appointed John as an interim commissioner for 10 months, and then he was appointed commissioner for 5 years. Even though he says he is presently the commissioner, he is not. He was replaced in 2018. John Peckman has been with the Competition Bureau since 1984, the year I was born. He is an economist with a Master University. He was commissioner at the time when the bread fixing scandal happened. This interview is like right around the time it was his last day of commissioner before a new one, Matthew, got appointed. John says the immunity program is necessary to uncover price fixing schemes. I agree with that. We definitely need to protect whistleblowers. I put that in my series on how to fix capitalism, because we need people to be able to speak out about things without fear of repercussions. Saying in his time as commissioner, he took on bread price fixing and the real estate data monopoly, but the real estate data monopoly, that was, I think, attributed already to Melanie as one of the big things that she did before she resigned, but bread price fixing. So yes, we know that Loblaws was found guilty of bread price fixing. Let me know if you want me to dive into that. My question is, why the hell did we stop at bread, and why was more not done? So I don't even know what to say, man. We need to shake things up. It's not just about who's doing what. It's look at the whole system, and is it working as it's intended? And in my opinion, absolutely not. There is very little competition, and small businesses are being hurt by the monopolies. So this comes to the end of the screenshots that I took, but what do you guys want to see next? Because I definitely want to keep diving into this and educating people on this. Anyway, eat the rich. Mwah.